Hey, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. This is Storytime, Trauma Talks. I'm doing some really intense throat clearing, throat chakra clearing. And one of the things holding me back, and one of the reasons I can't quit smoking, is because I need to speak my truth about my trauma, specifically about the year 2017. It was the worst 6 months of my life. I'm doing this blackout. I don't feel comfortable enough to show myself. So I'm just going to recall some of the events and talk about what happened. I was married, and my partner's father passed away. And my dad passed away when I was like 14 or 15, I think. And the death of his father really launched me into where I was when my father passed away, which was not a good mental health space. And prior to his father passing, his mother had passed 6 days after we got married. And then one of his partners overdosed, and I watched them die directly 6 months before the mother passed away, to the day. It was insane. So it was just a year of a lot of grief. And I was in an interracial marriage, and definitely had some internalized white supremacy that I was dealing with. And that's why I say that shadow work and decolonizing are the same, especially for white folks. So that was messy and gross on my behalf. And I ended up getting locked in. Well, there were a few things. So the first thing that happened was that my partner was cheating on me. It was a narcissistic relationship, and pretty much 2 weeks after we got married, shit changed, really bad. And that was in 2016. So I'm, blaming a lot of these problems on me and my upbringing and my old beliefs that I was getting rid of, right? But yeah, my partner was not in it the way I was ultimately. So I really knew since the moment that we were together that we were destined to have a child, and we did. But that didn't happen until 2019. Our son was born. So yes, I stayed in this a lot longer than I should have, but to fulfill the thing that I knew true for us, right? Anyway, back to 2017, it was springtime, and he had this coworker that was playing with me, you know what I mean? And a lot of it had to do with race. I was in the minority in the spaces that we were in, and a lot of people made me feel absolutely awful because I was white. Point blank, period. My intentions, it didn't matter. My education, my path, what I was doing, did not matter. I was white, and that's all they saw me as, which made me go a little bit crazy, because I'm a good person. I do better as I know better. But anyway, so a lot of grief and stuff after his father passed away. A lot of infidelity and gaslighting and narcissistic abuse leading up to this point. Trying to be there for someone who's lost their parent. When you yourself have an empathy, right? I always lead with empathy. I think that I've really backed off on doing that so much now that I have grown, because I can't afford to anymore. This is what happens when I did. So, he had a business trip, but he lied all the time. And I always caught him in lies, but he never admitted to lying. And so basically my mind, I was just emotionally and mentally breaking down from the abuse and all of it, just all of it. Anyway, he had a business trip and I was not in a good headspace. I was like, please don't leave me. Please don't go. Thank you. And he left, but he like dropped me off at my friend's house. There was someone in the same place that lived there but they were a friend of mine from doing my master's work. And I absolutely lost my shit at their dorm. And the police were called. I got arrested. Abandonment wounds were already very present because of the grief of dying and the trauma of my father and his father and everything. So then when he left me, when I was begging him not to, I lost it. I thought that he was like going to cheat on me, which I'm sure he did. And I just lost my shit, just a whole lot of variables. So anyway, I got arrested and I got put on I think it was just a 24-hour hold. And then I was released, but I remember that being so traumatic. They drug tested me and like, I wasn't on drugs. I was just in a state of like complete, what's the word? It was just distraught, but like in a psychosis manner. So it wasn't an arrest. It wasn't court ordered. It was just, at this point, it was just a mental health hold. So I remember waking up at a different facility, but I don't remember getting there. And then I was released. They gave me a ride back to my friend's house, and I went back home to my house, I believe. And then my partner came home, and like there were other friends that he like put in charge of sort of babysitting me. And they were also mind fucking the shit out of me while they were in my presence. And pretty sure they were cheating with my husband. Anyway, it was a horrible situation. So then things didn't get better because the person that was babysitting me was like completely mind fucking me, while fucking my husband. And I ended up in a mental institution again and again and again for like 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks at a time for the next 6 months. I ended up in the hospital at one point. That led me to a mental institution. And as I recall these events, I feel like I was trafficked into these institutions, completely drugged. I know I was raped. I was pregnant at one point and they didn't believe me and they drugged me. And I, again, woke up at a facility I don't remember being in. I'm not sharing this linearly because I don't have the capacity to. I don't recall. I typed it, but my computer died and I didn't back it up. I had pictures of like bruises and abuse that I endured while in the institutions, and those were all deleted off of my computer. I don't know who did that, but my computer is dead now. But there was also a document where I spent months trying to recall what happened. And the order of which I was in Los Angeles. So I ended up in Venice, Long Beach, Augustus Hawkins, Martin Luther King. Like I was all over LA, but like I was taken in. These were all involuntary stays. My husband, the first time he took me in, so this was after I had been arrested and released from my friend's dorm, and he came home. I told him and his boss, like, I'm pregnant. I need to rest. But like my husband was so emotionally abusive. I went to his boss or his person and I'm like, I need help. And then that situation escalated and from there, my husband took me to like 2.5 hours away, and dropped me off. Oh God, this was so traumatic. so this was before like the next 6 months. This was the first time that he left me. I was screaming and begging him not to leave me.